The Rambam today, Hilchos Shmita and Yevel, and Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph. The Rambam writes, we're going to talk about the sugya of Biur Perek Shviis. So the Rambam starts off the halacha, Ein Eichlin Mazayin, Ein Eichlin Mehem, El Perek Shviis Ein Eichlin Mehem, El Kolzman Sha'isai Hamin Matzui B'Sadeh. They only eat as long as that min is found in the field, as it says in the pasuk. So it puts everything together in one group. As long as the chaya eats from the field, you eat from the house. When it's finished, the chaya doesn't have any more left to eat. He has to get rid of it from the house. This is the Biur Perek Shviis. Now, what is the Biur? Didn't tell you, just said chaya levar min habayis. We'll see that the Rambam has a chiddush dikashita in Biur. So not till Halacha Gimel does he actually tell us what's the Biur. Halacha Gimel, he writes, he has a lot of payers. In other words, when he's coming to the Zman HaBiur, you gotta get rid of it. Gives it to people, eat it. Now, do they have time to eat it? Do they have to eat it right away? That day? It's unclear, but they got to eat it. And he says, so the would be mashma for the lashon. Like, you got to do it right away. If he didn't find them, you got no choice. Serve anyway, you can destroy it, you got to destroy it. That is the Rambam Shitta, which is a Chiddush Dikashita, and as we will see, the other opinions. The Ramban and others hold there's no inyan of burning, destroying, and doing anything negative to Perek Shviis. Perek Shviis should be eaten. Question is only how. Whatever you have in your house, you need that as man beer, you need to get it out of the house. Mafkrit lakel. Everything that you had in your house. Now, you can even go back and take it. But first, out. So that's the Ramban Shita. The Ravid has some middle of the road here. Middle of the road Shita. And there are two types of Biur. One is when from that city there's no more Paris, and when you say the city, it means also the environment, the environs, the around the city. And when it gets at that point, let it go out to everybody in that city, the mafkert. And then the second is when there's nothing, when there's nothing left in the land, or the area of that land that's divided. But and this is a chiddush dikazach, that's what it says. And then you have the Rambam Shita, go straight, throw out, give whatever you can to these sudas and throw out the rest. Get rid of the rest. There is a question whether Rashi means what he says. But Rashi says in the Masechet Pesachim that the L'chaya Sheba Artzecha means you have to be mafkeret to the chayis, not just be mafkeret out in the street and go back and take it if you want. And you shouldn't touch it. Let the animals eat it. And it was that you can't eat. You got to give it to them. That's what the Taisus asks on Rashi. and doesn't make sense. He doesn't hold that it makes sense, at least. The Ramban brings that Rashi and says that that's what Rashi seems to say. The Aruch HaShulchan wants to say that Rashi doesn't mean that. That you're not allowed to eat it, but it means that when you're mafkir, it has to be such a hefker that even animals can get it. It's just a degree of the hefker. But of course, you can go take it and bring it back to you if you want afterwards. But I'll combine them according to the way Tais understood Rashi, and it seems to me that Ramban understood Rashi that way, that the Rashi is a new shita. So we have as of now 4 shittas in Biur. I'll review them quickly in a moment. And then the Ramban himself writes that the whole Isser of Biur, of not eating it or doing anything, is all the Rabbanan. And it's Hasmachtas, and it's not really Hafusas, and it's all the Rabbanan. It helps a lot if we hold like that. But all right, so I want to just review the different opinions. There's the Shittas, Ramban, the Etzem, before he gets to the Rabbanan part, which is also the Shittas of the Bahag, and I think it's a Bahag or the Smag, one of them, that says that there is nothing wrong with Perish Shviis after the Zman HaBiur. The only thing that has to happen is you got to let him go. You gotta be mafkrit and let everybody get a chance at it. You can also have a chance at it once you're mafkrit and let it out in the street. In that itself, there may be a shittas Rashi that the hefker has to be according to the Shulchan's understanding, and he thinks that that's what Ramban means. I just don't see it there. That you get rid of it in a way that it can also, animals can get it. In other words, you can't just get rid of it outside in the street next to you. You got to take it to a place where animals live and go and prosper. The Ravid divides it into 2 periods of time. The Biur of your neighborhood, your city, I don't know how far it goes, and then there's the Biur of that is just Hefker. And then there's the Biur of all of Eretz Yisrael or regional Eretz Yisrael, whichever one it will be. And then there is also the possibility, then there's the Rambam shit that, no, there's only one Biur. Get rid of it. Now, the Teisus Yom Kippurim in Yuma goes through the sugi very beautifully. And he says that he brings a very strong rayas to the Rambam. He's matcha each one that you could get out of him. I just don't want to get into it because it's going to take us too long. But just to be aware, the Rambam is not coming from nowhere, according to him. He has very, very strong proofs to the idea that what he presents, that it's at that time there is only one thing that you could do is get rid of it. You can't eat it, you can't use it, nobody can use it, you get rid of it. And he has quite strong proofs. However, each one you can be matcha this, you can count with a deichik to answer this, but the idea remains that he definitely says that there's a strong indications that the Rambam's shita would have a lot of support based on reading the Gemaras and the halachas. Those are the shittas. Now the Ramban has one big question on the Rambam, and he says everybody knows there's a Mishnah at the end of Tumura where the Mishnah lists those items that are either that you need to be disposed of in either through a manner of nigbarim, they need to be buried, or nisrofim, or they need to be burnt. And they go through a big list of those Yisura Noah that after this and after this, it comes to, you don't find that he says anything about Shviis, about Biur. He says, according to the Rambam, why not? It's one of the items. Why shouldn't it be mentioned? That's a strong question. And you're not going to tell me because they only mentions things that are either or, because the Rambam Shita and many that by Biur Chametz, you have a choice, and there then he brings Biur Chametz. All right, so we need to come up with some kind of a understanding of what's going on, what the Rambam shit is. Harav Soloveitchik in his Sefer Shviis Shiurim, it's hard to get exactly the point, but he's basically saying that Nigbarim and Esrafim are all under the heading of Isurei Hana Gamur. They're totally Isurei Hana. Whereas Perish Shviis are not really, they don't become Osra Hana. They become Chefts of Isra Hana. It's just that we can't eat them, you have to get rid of them. Therefore, they're gone. Therefore, it's Osra. It's not an Isra Hana that comes from the fact that this became a Dover Ma'us, a Dover that should be Osra Hana. The Isra Hana is a result because we don't have anything else to do with it. And that's somewhat his point. Somewhat of his point. Yeah. So so the question is that, and again, he goes into, he also talks about the Shaila, where how quickly people have to get rid of it when they're given the 3 sudas. Let's say if it's not real Isra, no, you can, as long as it was given to you, but teres achila, you can give it, you can eat it. I don't get the whole picture, but I understand it's not a chefts of Isra, no, that's his main point. Perhaps what we're going to say could tie into somewhat of what he says, but I think we don't have to come on to it if you say it. But I want to suggest something based on this whole setup of the Rambam. And I'm reading the Rambams here, and I told you in the beginning, there's something that bothers. The Rambam says, Zehu mitzvahs biur. Zehu biur. That's biur. Without explaining what. Levarim and Abayis, he doesn't say what it is. If then 2 halachas later, that's where he should have said, Zehu biur. That if anything. In Hilchas Chametz Matzah, yes, Keitzad biur chametz. Here he should also have Keitzad biur. Where's the Keitzad? Where's the explanation? And here, like he mentions it there Chagav as a side point. Another question that bothers me. Now, I haven't seen people ask, but it bothers me. Why is there according to Rambam that beer is a mitzvah that there? Why isn't it a mitzvah? One of the mitzvahs in Shemita. I mean, look at the beginning of Shemita. A lot of mitzvahs. Why isn't there a mitzvah beer in Shviis? I don't know. I mean, obviously, in these things you can always find answers, but it's just like nobody bothered by it, but it should be bothered by it, at least. Another issue. Rambam writes, if you didn't find people to give to eat, then you burn it. So it's not sure that, obviously, preferably you should eat it. Give it to, who cares? If there's a mitzvah to burn it, to be mevar, be mevar. I mean, why should you go looking? This is the time of beer, let's go be mevar. In the Masechta Shviis, and the Rambam uses a very interesting lashon. No, it's not a unique lashon, but it's an interesting lashon. Shviis nitna la'achila u'lishtira l'sicha. What's nitna? What's this nitna? What does it mean nitna? There's Shviis. It's the mutar la'achil l'shtira l'sicha. What's a nitna? And you want to say it's a mitzvah to eat? All right, mitzvah la'achil. It is a mitzvah. The Rambam brings it also, the same lashon. Nitnu. There's a sefer, there's a pirish on Mishnayos from one of the early Rishonim, Riv Matz. I really do not know how to pronounce it, but that's probably the best I can do. Riv Matz. It's something Malki Tzedek, so the Mem Tzedek is a separate word. In the Mishnah there, he says an interesting line. Shviis nitna la'achila l'shtia u'lesicha. Pirish calls where does that come in? Ma inyan Shmita. That's not the issue here. Shviis nit the lachila steal the sicha. That's all it says. You can. The idea is you can eat it. What's the calls man shechaya chelos nasada? Where does that come in here? That's a separate halacha. Next pair in Masech Shviis it speaks about. Why does he put it together? In Hilchas Ma'acholois Suras, Perik Tesvav Halacha Ches. Rambam writes, Peirei Shviis, Afa Pi Sheim Nisarvu B'minam B'chol Shu, B'shalei B'minam B'neisen Tam, Einan B'chlal Isurei HaTorah. They're not part of Isurei HaTorah. Elachayiv Lechol Kol HaTaroives, B'kedushas Shviis, K'may Shviis B'arvu Ken. You have to eat the whole mixture in Kedushas Shviis. It's not true. There is a time when Perish Shviis is Isurei Yana. And it's part of Bichlal Isurei Torah. When Mizman Biur. And so why doesn't the Rambam say that? Okay, look at Neisa Caleb. There are answers given. But when you take all of these issues together, it keeps pushing you in a certain direction. And perhaps the key word here is Kedushas Shviis. The key word here is not Isurim. It's about Kedusha. It's about Hanhogya in Kedusha. And perhaps the Rambam learns, that's why it says Nitna Lachila. You want to know what you should do with this Kedusha, Shviis? It was given to consume in various ways. And that's what Kedusha, that's what this Kedusha month, this Kedusha demands. Perhaps that this Biur is a continuation of Anhogin Kedusha Shviis. It's not about Isurim. It's about Anhogin Kedusha Shviis. We learn from a pasuk that Kol L'chaim and Asada is Kaleim and Abayis. So the Rambam learns it's not a din. It has nothing to do with Isurim. It has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with Kedusha Shviis. Kedusha Shviis has to be consumed. Up to a certain point, it was nitna lachila. When and with that line, when the nitna lachila ends, now it's nitna to be consumed through another way. You got to get rid of it. You got to consume it through beer. Biur is a hanhogi kedusha shvius. You can't let shvius and a holy shvius just to lay around. That's what it's about, and that's why there is obviously a preference to eat it. That's what it was nitna for. So chaperai. If you can't, then it's nitna for this, and that's why the Rambam doesn't agree with the Ravid. That there is an isser. There's an isser. There's no isser. There's never an isser. The isser is only a result of the fact that there is a kedushas shvius and hogir that I need to do it. I have different ways to do it. And that's why he says v'zehu biur. That's biur is conducting yourself in a holy manner with shvius. And the conducting itself with this holy manner is that you have a right to eat it to a certain time, and afterwards you got to get rid of it out of the house. Now, obviously, the details of what you do, that's later, but that's biur. Biur means it's all. Biur means this is when when you lose your nitna lachila, and now it's nitna to do something else with it. That's why it's not a separate mitzvah. It's all part of the nitna lachila, and kedusha shvius requires lachila. Now nitna this, now nitna to be destroyed, not destroyed, to be gotten rid of. That's why it doesn't say in Tzmura. It has no shaykhs to Tzmura. In that rab, there's a similarity to what Rabbi Soloveitchik wants to say, but it's I don't know why he goes off. He could have stayed in this path, and it would have been a lot more focused on this. And obviously, he doesn't. He does differently. And in other words, what does this kedusha shvius demand? It demands eating till a certain time. Now, kedusha shvius, Torah says, you gotta get rid of it. You gotta get rid of it. You gotta get rid of it. Finished. I can't. And it doesn't have the din of this at all. And that's why it's not in Hilchas Chametz. Yes, Ketzad. Here there's no Ketzad. Here it is. Just continue doing what you're doing. Consume it through eating and sicha and shtia. Now consume it through getting just making sure it's avad min ha'elam. So I think basically the point is that the umbrella over here is kedusha shvius. Kedusha shvius means you've got to conduct yourself in a holy manner with the parish shvius, and that kedusha has stages. There's the stage of achila, of nitna lachila sicha shtia. And then it's the next stage. Finish that. Now the next stage is how do you conduct with that kedusha shvius? Get rid of it. So I think it answers pretty much the questions that we asked, and it comes out good. The lashon, the lashonis, the Rambam fit very well into this approach. Thank you. Sei gesund. Hatzlach Rabbe.